Why hello there fellow astronauts, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Solar Expanse. Episode 2, Building Moonbase Alpha. Alright, back on Earth, we have an observatory. Okay, cool. Nope, stop, pause. Alright, there it is, space dock is ready. This is where we'll build future interplanetary vehicles to be set off to further space excursions. It unlocks 2 new contracts. So there's, it unlocks the lunar deposit contract. I already have the Explore Mars queued up, so the current priority is Lunar Depot. We need to deliver a mobile refinery, a mobile mining, and then directly to Luna, and then plan a cyclical mission from Luna to Earth's orbit, taking fuel. Basically, moving fuel from the moon to Earth's orbit. Got it. So on Earth, let's go ahead and build mobile mining module and mobile refinery module so that it's ready to be moved to the moon. Crimson, cheers. And we are about 5 months away from the Explore Mars mission launching. Okay, so there is the mining module, which is 15 tons. And the mobile refinery, which is 25 tons. So let's plan a mission from Earth to Luna. This will be Lunar Depot. Lunar Depot 1. Spacecraft will be the Stratos. Modules will be the mining module and the mobile refinery module. And let's also go with 60 fuel. We'll launch with the Eagle. And done. And I brought the extra fuel so that we can come back home. I don't need to build another Stratos. Because it's about 50 fuel for the Stratos to make it from the moon back to Earth's orbit. There we go. We have delivered a mobile refinery and a mining module to Luna. The mining module will mine water and silicon very slowly, but automatically without a human workforce. The mobile refinery will consume water to produce fuel, but very slowly without a human workforce. In order to plan a cyclical mission, you can open up the planned missions here and go from Luna to Earth orbit as a cyclical mission. Cyclical missions are a way to plan recurring missions between 2 locations. Assigned spacecraft, launch vehicles, and facilities will automatically perform missions according to set parameters. You can see what resources are to be transported from one location to another, whether the flight should be utilized fastest or available transfers fly optimally, or how many times until the mission should recur. So this will be the Lunar Depot Cyclical 3. The spacecraft will be the Stratos, and we want to move fuel, wait until the cargo is full, I guess, from Lunar to Earth orbit, nothing from Earth back to Lunar. And we want to do 3 transfers, not forever or whatever. And strangely enough, that actually completes. It wants me to plan the cyclical mission, but it doesn't actually want me to functionally do it. So that one's done. And I actually do not plan on doing that cyclical mission because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Energy. Ground facilities require energy to function. Energy is produced in power facilities. Each type of power facility produces different amounts of energy depending on circumstances. Solar rays produce more the closer you are to the sun. Wind power only works in atmosphere, while nuclear power provides a lot of energy anywhere but requires a steady supply of fissils to function. If you don't have enough energy to power all your facilities fully, they will work at a reduced speed. Unused production facilities only consume power when active. So if certain buildings on a planet are not always active, you can consider constructing batteries to stockpile additional energy. So, it wants me to build a moon base. Let's do it. Moonbase Alpha. So, it wants me to have construction equipment on the moon, then to build an outpost, a fuel refinery, a proper one that produces a more amount of fuel, but it requires 5 people to crew and consumes electricity. A water extractor, again, another 5, consumes electricity. And a solar array, 2, and produces electricity. And it wants me to deliver 10 humans directly to the moon. I think 12 was a better goal. Now, take a look at the moon. Right now, the moon is producing silicon. It is not producing metal, which is needed to build an outpost. It isn't producing metal or rare ores or really any of the materials needed. So we're going to need to bring everything, which is fine. All right, let's get rid of that cyclical mission. Nuking it. So we have the Stratos here on Luna. So I'm going to say, hey, Stratos, you go to Earth. I'm not going to name this one. It's just a return trip, Stratos to Earth. This will take 45 tons of fuel, which is like nothing. And the Stratos is back to Earth. So let's start building construction equipment so that we can ship that to the moon. So here on Earth, we will build construction equipment, but I don't necessarily need to wait for this to finish because there's a lot of other things we need to deliver to the moon first. So here's a new mission. Earth to lunar, or to Luna. And this is going to be Moonbase 1, the Stratos. And we are going to want to add 40 metals for the outpost. And then 10 supplies. Actually, we don't need supplies because I already have supplies on the moon, don't I? I already have... Oh, no, I take that back. We'll need 9 tons of supplies. Because I already have 1 ton on there. While we're at it, let's go ahead and also add 50 tons of fuel. So I'm going to round it up to 10 anyway. And then for the fuel refinery, I'm going to add another 50 tons of metal. So now the Stratos is completely full. And that's going to deliver everything we need for the outpost and the metal we need for the fuel refinery. Is there a chance for missions to fail? Yeah, if you plan them wrong. Like, if you're sending humans to somewhere but not enough food, they'll die. Or if you have people living on a base and they run out of power where power is required for them to produce food, they'll die. I guess that's a failure. But no, technically you won't fail. You'll just have another chance at it, I guess. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another Stratos. And I'm going to make another Val or Eagle. Oops, I did 2. Let's cancel one of those. Just so that I have double my launch capacity. Because I'm waiting a long time for the Eagles and Stratoses to be... Well, mostly the Eagles to be ready again. But it doesn't hurt to have, like, 2 Stratoses, I think. Silver Knight, thank you for the resub, and happy anniversary. Cheers. For building on Earth, what does the space dock do? So the space dock is mostly for building spacecrafts that can only exist in space. We'll get there. You're getting ahead of it. But there are Like, if you're building a solar sail vehicle, you can't launch a solar sail from the surface of Earth. It has solar sails. It doesn't work to break atmo. So there's certain types of crafts which only work from orbit to orbit. They're not landers. They have no landing capabilities, you know, and that's why you would want an orbital shipyard to build those such vehicles that are too large to launch from a planet. That makes sense? Okay, construction equipment is done, being made, but that's not our first mission. So taking a look at our upcoming missions, we have Earth to Mars, which is still going, and then Earth to Luna. Earth to Luna starts August 27th, so it's going to be a little while because of the cooldown time of that launch vessel. All right, here goes the Explore Mars mission. It has launched. So this contract is essentially complete. We just have to wait for it to arrive. Okay, this Falcon will be ready in 14 days. Oh, actually, it's a Falcon. I don't care about the Falcon. I care about the Eagle. Falcon's lift of 42 tons is, like, not super helpful, considering I need to move way more than 40, like 125 tons for the water ice extractor, right? One Falcon ain't gonna do. All right, there is Moonbase 1 mission just launched. The Eagle used to launch it is now being prepared. And Moonbase 1 is about to land on Luna with everything we need for the outpost and the metal needed for the fuel refinery. And we just have to keep track of that stuff. We can also just click on Luna and we see that we have metal and we have supplies. All right, now let's launch this back from Luna back to Earth. Actually, let's have it to Earth's orbit. Stratos. Cargo is going to be none. Done. All right, the other thing I could do here is launch from Earth to Earth orbit. So we're going to have Stratos just picking up stuff in orbit and moving it over to Luna, but not re-landing back on Earth. We don't need to do that. So this is going to be... we're going to use the Falcon's 42 tons because the Falcon is ready. Might as well use it. So we can load up the construction equipment, which is 5 tons. And then we'll load up the 10 tons of rare metal. And that's everything we need for the fuel refinery. And then we'll load up 10 tons of alloys for the solar panels. And then we'll load up 15 tons of glass. And then 2 more tons of supplies, filling up its entire payload. Done. So now that Falcon is being used to just move things to orbit so that the Stratos can pick it up. So we have the construction equipment just sitting here in orbit. And once the Stratos makes it back to Earth's orbit, it can just fetch it because in orbit we already have fuel. So we have enough fuel for the Stratos to go from Earth's orbit to Luna, back to Earth's orbit to Luna, back and forth. Saving us the launch cost. Okay, now, plan another mission from Earth's orbit to... Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait on this because the Stratos can hold 100 tons, and we don't have 100 tons worth of stuff to send. We have 45 tons or 42 tons of stuff to send, so I'm going to hold off on that mission. So, the next mission, it looks like the Falcon will be reusable soon. So I think what I'll do is just wait for the Falcon to be ready. Okay. Plan mission, Earth to Earth's orbit. To the payload container. And in Earth's orbit, we've got 15 tons of the 50 that we need for glass. So 35 tons of glass. And then we have 8 tons of stuff left over for space. So I'm going to add more supplies. It never hurts to have extra supplies where you cannot, or so, sorry, 7. Where you can't generate it. Because we wouldn't want our lunar base people to starve to death. And you can't make food on the moon because the moon doesn't have a source of carbon to grow stuff with. It only has silicon. You could ship carbon there, so you could have a hydroponic facility, but, you know, we don't have that just yet. Alright, tracking our mission to Mars, because I'm sure you are interested in that. We zoom out. We have the Explore Mars here. And it was launched 4 months ago, and we'll get there next year at February. So it's doing that transfer window now. Cool. Man, that Eagle's never getting built. Ooh! That's cool. Found a comet. Alright, Earth's orbit. How are we looking? We've got all the glass we need and all the alloys we need for the solar array. Where'd the metals go? Oh, we deliver those to Luna? Yeah. Okay. So once the Stratos is done, I'm going to send that Stratos up to orbit. So we have 2 Stratoses in orbit. And we have 1 in Earth's orbit right now. It's not possible. Well, All right, let's go from Earth's orbit to Luna. And this is going to be Moonbase. What is it, 2 or 3? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Using the Stratos. We're going to bring the construction equipment. And then all of the glass. And all of the alloys. So that I can start to build with the automated construction equipment the solar panels that we'll need. And then we also have rare metal 10. And then supplies 9. And then I don't have it filled, but that's fine. Okay, so we're moving more stuff over to the Moonbase. Done. Now over the Moonbase, we can queue up Solar Array. And then we can also then, after that, queue up Outpost. But I might prefer to do the stretch goal of a habitat, as it is only 60 more metal. Well, it wants me to get an outpost, so I'll build an outpost. So we are now queuing up the outpost and the solar array, and what we have left is the fuel refinery. And I think I have the materials for that as well, don't I? Yep. So the only thing we have yet to do is build the water ice extractor, and that's 125 tons of metal that will be needed to move to Luna. So it's going to be 2 trips for Stratos's. And then on the second trip, we'll also bring people and more supplies. And possibly enough for another outpost. That'd be wise. Because we have the food for it. So I would just need 40 metal plus 125 metal. Alright, so here at Luna, we're going to launch this Stratos back to Earth's orbit. With nothing. Empty. With like minimum propellant. And now we have a Stratos sitting in orbit. The second Stratos that's being built on the surface is almost done. And the Eagle is almost ready to relaunch. Which is going to allow us to bring a lot more stuff to orbit. So let's go do that. This will be the supply. So plan from Earth to Earth orbit. Earth orbit. You still have plenty of fuel, so I'm not too worried about that. Cool. So Earth to Earth orbit. To orbital payload container. And we're going to want 125 metal for the ice. I'm going to want 40 metal on top of that for the outpost. And then, do I have any food in Earth's orbit? I don't yet. Because the other thing we could do is we could add a crew compartment with 5 crew to launch them up now. And then down on the planet, I'll build another crew compartment and another crew compartment. Because I'm going to want to send 12 people. Or maybe even 15. Or 20. So we're going to build more crew compartments. And what we could do is we can wait. So I think instead of sending the Falcon, the Eagle right now, I'm going to wait to build those crew compartments. So that it can send 20 people right now with like the appropriate food and all that. So I have 4 small crew compartments of 5 each for 20 people. Because if I'm building 2 habitats or 2 outposts, that has a capacity of 20. So I'm just going to fill it up. We're going to have 20 people living on the moon. And then the other Stratos is about to be built, which is going to help as well. Bringing those people from Earth's orbit to lunar orbit. So, launching from Earth to Earth orbit. The Stratos. And I will just bring 78 tons of supplies. It's a lot of supplies, actually. Let's bring 50 tons of supplies. And 15 people. On this trip, using an Eagle launch. Actually, if we're using the launch vehicle, yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. All right, so we're moving 15 of 20 people to Earth's orbit with a whole bunch of supplies so they don't starve. If you don't have supplies in orbit, there's nothing for the people to eat. They just immediately starve and die. So there we go. They have enough supplies now to survive a long time. For 11.8 years. So it's the 15 people living in orbit aren't going to die. And we have both Stratoses. Stratoses sitting in orbit. Then all that's left is to bring the remaining materials on the other... well, I don't have another Eagle. That hasn't been built yet. So I'll have to send multiple Falcon launches. That's fine. So from Earth to Earth orbit to the orbital payload container, and we'll do 40 metal and 2 supplies. I'm trying to use every last ton. So that second 40 metal is for another outpost to build once we get there. There we go. Now they have 12.1 years of supplies in space, 40 tons of metal, and 15 people living in 3 crew compartments. And then as soon as this Falcon... Actually, I really want the Eagle. Shoot. But whatever, I'll be patient. We'll need 125 more metal for the water ice extractor. But the good news is the solar array got built. So we're now producing power on the moon. We produce power, we do not consume it yet because we don't have any power consumers. And then the amount of power that we produce is decreased because there's no one working in it. So that's another thing that we will solve once we have the Moonbase set up. Okay, the Falcon's ready for a new launch. So Earth to Earth orbit. To the payload container. And this will be 42 metals. All right, let's do 40 metal. What total do I have? Actually, yeah, 42. 3 more Falcon launches should get us there. Am I playing this because of the artist mission? No, I'm playing this because my Patreon patrons voted for it. And I don't know why they voted for it. When's that launch going? I just... Oh, today. Oh, we're already in orbit. No, we're not. Oh, no. Oh, it's in 3 days. Stop. All right, contract completed. Explore Mars. Aerobatic maneuver and a soft landing went off without a hitch. We've received our first photos of the red planet. Great job, everyone. We have a wealth of information on what resources we can find on the planet. We finished that contract. And right now, I'm going to focus solely on... Actually, I'm going to do the gravitational slingshot mission as well. Because that takes a long time to get to Pluto. So, plan a mission of a Selene to Jupiter orbit. I don't know how to make a Selene, do I? I do not. Research. Move up the queue. So, the first thing I'm going to research is a Selene and then the extended cargo bays. Alright, one of the outposts on Luna just got built. Sweet. And the Falcon has delivered the 42 additional metals, the 42 tons, rather, of additional metals to Earth's orbit. And I'll do it again. I could have done this, and I hadn't, but I could have done this as a cyclical mission to do 3 times to deliver all the metal required, rather than the schedule it in one at a time. Okay. And now, in Earth's orbit, we need 1 more delivery of metal, and that will be all the metal I need. And then we also need to deliver the last 5 astronauts. The Eagle is ready. Cool. So, the fuel refinery on Luna is already getting built. It's in the queue. So all we're doing is moving the metals for a water ice extractor and the metals for an outpost plus all 20 people over to Luna. So this launch here is going to be Earth to Earth orbit to the payload container of a crew compartment full of crew. And then, what is it? 125 plus 40. So 165 metals total. What do we have in orbit right now? 124. So we need 41 more metals. I'm also, going to move enough for a second solar array into orbit. So 50 glass and 10 alloys. And then, does Earth only have 5 tons of food left? Okay, hold on. Let's buy some. So, buy on Earth supplies. Let's buy 200 tons of food on Earth. And I'm going to send 205 of it, or I'm going to send 100 tons of it to orbit. Okay. Using an eagle. Done. Alright, now in orbit, we've got 20 people, 165 metal, a whole lot of food, glass, and alloys. I don't know if I have enough weight for it all. So this is Earth to Luna. Spacecraft is both Stratoses. Cargo, 20 people, plus metal, 165. That's too heavy. Okay. What I'm going to do is move what we need for the second habitat over. And I'll eventually send over the water ice extractor resources. So the metal for the second hab, and then I'm also going to send 120 tons of supplies. That's probably more than we need. Let's do 50 tons of supplies, 50 tons of glass, 10 tons of alloy. Let's do 60 tons of supplies. There we go. Done. So now the astronauts are leaving Earth's orbit for the Moonbase. And then they'll fly back to Earth's orbit and bring the remaining metals. Bring the remaining 125 tons of metals. Ooh, and we built that eagle on Earth. Okay, so we have 20 people on the moon. If we take a look at the moon... Oh, moon. Moon. Yo, just show me the moon, please. Why can't I zoom in on the moon? This is weird. Not Luna orbit. Luna, like the actual moon. We have 8.2 years of food left. So there's plenty of time for these Stratoses to supply from Earth's orbit. So from Luna to Earth's orbit, both Stratoses, and we'll go empty. I could bring, like, water back, I guess. Nah, I'm not even gonna bother. Because it will just use more fuel to launch. Okay. Now both Stratoses are in Earth's orbit. Meaning that, like, hypothetically, these 20 humans on the moon are, like, stranded. And then the last launch I'm going to have here is from Earth's orbit to Luna. And this is Moonbase 3. Both Stratoses with all of the metals needed. And that is it. Obviously, we're not using all the cargo capacity. It's just, you know, slightly unutilized. Okay, apparently there's insufficient propellant on Earth's orbit to do this. So, before we do that, let's launch more fuel up into orbit, which is pretty easy to do. So, we have 15 kilotons of fuel. Yeah, that's fine. So, we're going to be moving 800 tons of fuel via Eagle to Earth's orbit. Done. Now we can do it. Okay, let's try this again. Launch Earth's orbit to Luna. To Stratuses with 125 metal. Done. Delivered. And what that allows us to do is then, here at Luna, once the fuel refinery is built, we'll build the... So we're currently building the fuel refinery. Yeah. Then, afterwards, we want to build the water ice extractor. And then, oh, I can only have one outpost. Ooh, that was a miss. Maybe what I'll do is I'll work towards a mobile habitat then. I'll have to do more delivery missions. So for that, I need 120 alloys and 60 electronics on the moon. Let's do that. That way, the people there don't need to constantly resupply. They just, when they run out of supplies, they just survive and they stop working rather than die. Okay. So 120 alloys and 40 electronics. We already have the food already on the moon. So from Earth to Earth orbit to the payload. Okay, and this is where my brain does not brain well. So it was 40 electronics, 120 alloys. $40 electronics, 120 alloys. With an Eagle, done. Okay. Over at Luna, we'll send these Stratuses back to Earth orbit, ready to bring the materials needed. Cool. All right. Now we have the necessary materials sitting in orbit here. So plan a mission, Earth's orbit to Luna. Moonbase supply. Both Stratuses. We want 40 electronics, 120 alloys. And it's also worth noting that you can recycle stuff to get materials back. And then I'm also just going to fill it up with supplies as well. Oh, no, we don't have enough weight for that. Huh. This might be too heavy. Let's do 100 alloys. Can we manage that? Because you also have to compensate for, like, the internal fuel. No. 80 alloys. Oh, you know what? I don't have enough fuel in orbit. That's what's going on. Okay, let's refuel to orbit then. So I have a free... None of my... I'll wait until one of the Eagles is ready. The fuel refinery just got built on Luna. Sweet. So if we take a look at Luna, the only thing we've yet to build is the water ice extractor, which is going to take 46 more days. The outpost, what was the cost actually? Now that I think about it, one thing we could do is roll a habitat instead of the outpost. So the outpost was 40 metals. If I move 20 metals, we can just do a habitat. But the habitat requires food, so I think I still want the mobile habitat, which is like protects them from food scarcity problems. So yeah, this is still the plan. The other thing we can build here is the second solar set of panels, because I moved all the materials for that as well. So I'm queuing that up. Thank you for tuning in to Solar Expanse, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you in next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow astronauts.